because I would rather not have dingus start spitting in my drink. And now I just make cold brew at home.
Alright, so you guys just heard that. Now, going back into my last point, like I was just saying, a lot of the people now that they're hiring are not trained. They don't know how to make the bagel. That you ask for something and they give you the complete opposite and then try to argue with you about what you asked for. It's like, bro, you couldn't even understand what I said at the speaker. Then you come type foolishness. Then when I come and look at the something that I asked you guys for, it's not even made. It's not even like they're watching the videos. If you work at Tim Hortons, you know already. You have to watch videos. There's a build. You can't even like the way there's a specific about the cheese. The cheese certain time can't be under the patty. It has to be on top of the patty. So there's certain build. There's a certain way that you're supposed to make these things. And I said they're not even watching it. Everybody know you're supposed to put cream cheese on one side of the bagel, close it and cut it. These people don't even look like they're putting cream cheese on nothing. They're putting bro, I don't know what they're doing, bro. They just them don't know what they're gonna do. But like I was saying earlier, they don't clean the restaurants. The restaurants need cleaning. That is a part of the job that has to be somebody's job. There's even little red buckets that have the sanitizer that needs to be changed, I think every 20 minutes. If they're not cleaning the damn foyer, how are you gonna tell me that they're cleaning and keeping up with the sanitation buckets? How are you telling me that they're keeping up with the buckets you know when you stir the coffee, you have to put the spoon back inside of because there's one spoon you use for everybody. So you have to put the spoon back in an ice cup. I know every piece of ice melt out and the water is brown because if you're not changing and cleaning the restaurant, what would make me think you're cleaning back behind? You know what I mean? So it just comes down to training. A lot of these people are not trained. They're just hired, put on the floor, don't know English, don't know how to build or nothing. They just give them the job and it's like, bro, it's fucking up everything. But you see, after Burger King bought them, it's just never been the same. I don't know what Burger King do. I don't know if they manage. I think they probably manage their money and everything because it's quality cuts in everything. Every aspect of the restaurant, it's getting cut down. Nothing don't taste good no more. Nothing don't look good no more. Nothing is being ran good no more. Nothing is being kept up to standards. It's just a free for all with anybody and everybody in there working. Even the people that used to work there back time. And I know there's gonna be a person in the comments and say, "Oh, you're just trying to pick on Indian people or the international students." Nah, because when they were being back then, they were being trained and the store was running fine. Nobody had an issue with them. Yeah, they had an accent, but they understood me and I understood them. It just comes down to training. Like I said, they're just putting any and everybody to work. There's no solidness with the restaurant no more. I don't know.
Did you guys hear about that Canadian guy who was 50 years old who identified as a teenage girl? He wanted to do a swim meet with teenage girls, and they were letting
the next step.
I believe there was like an argument. See if it's true. If they let him actually into the locker room, I want to make sure that this is true. Like a girl's locker room. Can you imagine you have a teenager?
What a dream.
He's going to do a swimming event.
Oh, this is like attached to a school?
50-year-old trans swimmer shared locker room while competing against teens.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And this is how crazy Canada's gotten. They're just like the Moonies. They're just like the Juggalos. Like, they're in a cult. They don't realize they're in a cult. But if you think this is a good idea to let a 50-year-old guy who decides to identify as a woman change in a locker room with teenage girls because he identifies as a teenage girl, you're out of your mind.
Ladies.
Does it say that this person?
Of us gals in here.
I mean, let me be clear that does this person say they identify as a teenage girl?
This was a plan that I would have drummed up when I was 12 years old.
I don't think that it was an event that teenage girls could be 16 and older.
I think it's just a locker. She's going to a women's locker room in general.
Okay, 16 and older. This person's competing at a 16 and older, so you could be any age. Okay, so is there any evidence that this person identifies as a teenage girl, or is that just the internet?
Almost like the internet, but I don't know.
Google that just in case. I would like to know, because that makes it extra crazy and fun.
I'd be weirded out by it. It does.
It does make it extra crazy and fun that people are like, okay. It's the same way I feel about all the other things we talked about. Like, the odds of you not being out of your mind are really low. They're really low. Super low. And the fact that everyone's like, yeah, inclusivity, like, well, also, how did we get to this Mooney point?
You should be allowed to say that some things are weird and crazy. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to hate them or be against them. Comedians are weird and crazy. We're all weird and crazy.
Okay, this is apparently, that means Wiseheart was swimming with young girls because of how fast or slow a swimmer is. not because she identifies as a young girl. But the competition is presumably separated by gender, so there's an issue where Wiseheart is competing against females while being biologically male. And also, I think, intact.
Oh.
So, which is also the weird one, right? Like, you could be a woman, but you don't even have to try that hard. Right?
No, you don't have to do
Sorry,
much.
turned around real quick and hit you with my pussy on your back.
And you can go back and forth anytime
no,
you
if you-
want. You
if
don't
you-
have to choose.
I'll call you your name if you cut your dick off.
Does anybody ever
If you
know?
don't cut your dick off, I'm not gonna call you. Or maybe I will call your name, but I might cut up. But I think that's okay. Either way, he's gonna check, and we'll figure out. We'll go
Yeah.
from there.
It's just so nuts, man, that you're just giving up this pervert pass. Like
I've
allows, because there's real trans people that are like this, like it's happened for all eternity. There's something wiring, you feel female. But there's also crazy people. There's also real perverts. And you're giving a pervert a Willy Wonka golden ticket.
I've gotten real good. I've gotten real good at calling people the gender they want. If they, like, I still will get up, but I find I'm pretty good at it. If they look like a girl, if it's a guy transitioning to a girl, and they look like a girl, I say, I'm pretty good at all this shit. If I get up, look at yourself.
Yeah.
That means that you're not shaving enough, or you haven't done whatever it is to make me call you. Because I'm pretty good at calling trans girls girls.
But it's also a weird thing to get stuck on, because you have to agree to this thing, and you have to agree to it. Especially like if you knew the person as one thing at one point in time, and then they decided to change their name and gender, and you're like, this seems like you need a lot of attention. Like what's going on here? This is strange. This is strange, and you're getting mad if I get up and call you Harry?
Well, that's the weirdest part of all of it. Is like you can't like be mad at someone, especially if it's an honest mistake.
Right.
It's
Well,
like,
that's why I was saying
It's male.
That's why I'm saying the internet is such a bad place for it, because everyone has such balls. Everyone's a keyboard warrior on the internet. Even people that are like, bleeding heart liberals, and people that are looking to, they find a place to go and have this voice. Back in the day, if you were trans and you were like a man that was dressing up as a woman and you wanted to get mad at somebody about it, you had to get in their face. It wasn't going to happen.
and if you went to the Village in New York City, they did.
Yes.
They did get in your face.
You
They
get
were
beat up.
aggressive
You
back
would
then.
get beat up in the West Village by a trans chick.
Well, what's the one? That's what I loved. That was
I've been craving some downtime.
Damn.
Another bit thinner, I think. Best bath ever. You taking a dip, Mimi? It's nice and warm. I might skip today. Wasn't really a sweaty one. What? How can you miss a hot bath opportunity? Then again, I guess when you smell so nice already, maybe it's no problem. Are you, embarrassed about other people seeing you? There's no need to be. Miss Ethel thought of everything. She even managed to give us a window in the bath to be empty. Ah, yes. I did know that. I guess maybe I will take a dip. Atta girl. Okay. Don't wait for me. Alright then. Have a good one. And good night. Yeah. Good night, Senna.
Is that it? Okay, it's daytime now. They should be finished clearing the landslide soon. We'll be able to set out to Ribby Flats. Colony 4's engineers are excellent. They took care of that faster than I thought they would. I guess we'll be saying bye-bye to Colony 4. Ethel and the others have been good to us. I'd like to see her before I go. Yeah, I want to do that too. I guess we all should. Let's go, Bob. Command.
There's a lot of talk of de-dollarization as more countries around the world can't and don't want to trade in US dollars. But which currency will replace the US dollar? Now, some people are asking, could even China's currency make a serious dent on the US dollar? My answer to this question for years has been no one currency will replace the US dollar. It will be a number of currencies as we have increasing multipolarity. That's true with currencies, it's true with geopolitics, it's true when you ask where's the next place where successful people are going to want to move. The answer is there are more options than ever. Some people are going to move to Dubai, some are going to move to Singapore, some are going to move to Belgrade, Serbia, some are going to move to somewhere really far flung. There are so many options out there. What we're seeing is the breakdown of these great powers. But China wants to capture a slice of those US dollars. And I recently came across an article in Hong Kong's South China Morning Post. They asked, can China's yuan, now a familiar face around the world, become a must-have currency? And one of the numbers in this article is truly shocking. They say China's yuan has become more acceptable to foreign countries, but authorities still maintain tight control of fund flows under its capital account. That is true. So the story goes that when China's homegrown ARJ-21 regional jet was delivered to Indonesian airline Transnusa this past May, the leasing deal was carried out not in dollars, not in euros through one of the Irish subsidiaries that leases aircraft, but using the yuan, with an arrangement hailed as a milestone in the internationalization of the Chinese currency. So you have a number of countries, a number of companies getting into the aircraft game in a bigger way, partially off the back of Boeing having a lot of problems, and partially off the back of just these countries want to be bigger players in important industries. The article quotes the Shanghai government, who says that this pioneering transaction highlights the high level of openness in the Lingang special area, promoting yuan internationalization and strengthening international cooperation. The aircraft was exported through the Lingang region, a free trade zone in southeast Shanghai that was set up in 2019 to promote foreign investment and financial opening up. China's growing economic influence in trade with the rest of the world has made the yuan more acceptable to foreign countries compared to 20 years ago when Beijing first began to experiment easing its capital controls. Now, what have we said was also happening about 20 years ago at the turn of the century? About 1/4 as many countries in the world were sanctioned by the US government. It's been the century of sanctions. And what have we also told you in the last 20 or so years? Places you never would have lived in, never would have invested in, never would have thought of, have now become, if not household names, serious contenders. Who took Dubai seriously at the turn of the century? And before you know it, people are moving there, and a lot of things are happening. And there's a lot of places that don't get nearly the press that Dubai gets. Those are the places that we talk about. Those are the places that we share with our clients. If you're looking for a place to diversify your assets, lower your taxes, protect your freedom, have a plan B, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. We have more options than anybody. I was just next to the CKO, our chief knowledge officer in a flight, pops up, oh, we got an alert about the corporate tax rate increasing in Eswatini. We keep our eye on more places than I think anybody else in the industry, and this is why we realize there's more options out there. And so the bottom line is, there are so many different players in the game now compared to when I was born. There were a few geopolitically and financially important countries in the world, and the rest were just kind of struggling to make it. That is a dramatically different situation today. That can benefit you if you choose to get your residences and citizenships and diversify your money in banks and choose to set up your offshore trust and just choose to take advantage of all the world has to offer. That's what we help our clients do. But China's playing the same game. In the first half of 2024, the yuan made up 52% of China's cross-border payments and receipts, compared with 43% for the US dollar. So, just this year, 52% of cross-border payments are in Chinese renminbi, in the yuan, only 40% the US dollar. There's a 9% delta. This is what the article calls the yuan share in China's cross-border payment climbing significantly. Here's why. 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, not turn of the century, 10 years ago, the figures stood at 23 and 67% respectively. That's according to Bank ANZ. So from 23 to 52%. That's a game changer. They didn't just flip. They flipped and blew the delta wide open. So what you're seeing is countries around the world increasingly willing to accept the yuan in trade. What does that tell you? Well, what it tells you is, I grew up in the United States. If you're sitting in the US, if you're sitting in Canada, if you're sitting in Australia, the UK, some Western country, and you're watching Western TV and you have Western friends, and your world is pretty much in the West, you would think, who wants this Chinese thing? The world tells us China's terrible. Who wants to deal with them? They're the worst. Well, the so-called entire global South, these emerging countries that are pretty much non-aligned, Africa, increasingly South America, very much increasingly Asia. We just saw numbers recently. Malaysia, 75% of Malaysians, some of the nicest people, they said if we had to choose between the US and China, 75% would choose China. Now, do you think they're all voting against their best interest? Or do you think maybe they know something or they think something about China that the West does not? And so whether you agree with them or not, they're going to be more likely as China offers them better deals. And we've seen that. That's been the big theme from African countries. China gives us a better deal. I keep seeing story after story after story, not just from the South China Morning Post in Hong Kong, but from papers all around the world. I follow a lot of news in Africa and the Middle East. And, hey, China's bringing us a better deal. It's not just about the geopolitics. It's about the trade. So you can like it, you can not like it. You can say, oh, they're making a mistake. Well, this is what's happening. From 23% to 52%, more than double, dramatically flipped it and opened that, closed the delta. Article continues, amid China's pursuit of building the world's second largest economy into a financial power, a strong currency and infrastructure are key. That's one of the things that China didn't have. They get this currency, it's controlled, who wants it? Well, the countries that have been shut out by the US. And again, go back to when I was born. I turned 40 this year. Go back to when I was born, before the Berlin Wall fell. Very different world in just 40 years. The US figured, hey, whomever we don't like, we'll use our might and we'll just shut them out. And they'll be eating bugs, because what's the competition? Soviet Union was on its last leg, collapsed. I remember being a kid, I told you, watching stuff in elementary school. Oh, here's the Chinese, they're riding bicycles to work. They ain't riding bicycles anymore. The world has changed, and so all those countries that the US used to say, we don't like you. Maybe we tried to invade your country or topple your regime and we couldn't do it. So we don't like you. You're going on the naughty list, and you're just going to be written off into the ash heap of history. Well, number one, those countries have grown a lot faster than the West. They've gotten together. They've gotten more confident. And they've said, okay, what's our solution? We're not going to do the U.S. We're not going to involve the U.S. What's the U.S. answer? Well, there's a symbiotic relationship between the government that people elect and the attitude they take and the actual people themselves. I'll tell you what we see, even right here on this channel, is arrogant people who say, well, if they don't want to do things our way, we don't need it. We're better. We don't need these hellhole countries. Okay, well, what happens when all the quote-unquote hellhole countries get together and they are more than half the world's population? Look at BRICS. It's a big chunk of the population. You got, 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion. There's a couple new countries, added 6, 7, 100 million in each country. They have something like 3.5 billion countries out of the 10 that are now in what they call BRICS Plus. You think they don't want to make more money? You think they don't see everything with the internet and people are getting wealthier and more people are getting into the middle class? You think that they just want to stay where they're at? Whether you like it or you agree with them or not, they're going to be there. That's a big force to be reckoned with. And they're saying it's our time to shine. This is listen, the internet and global connectivity and global trade wasn't always going to just benefit the US and Germany. It was going to benefit everybody. But those people those countries have remained shut out. Not all of them have. Indonesia is not necessarily shut out, but they're saying, hey, let's just be greater friends with this party in our region, and let's develop more ties, and let's not involve the drama that comes with the U.S. I left the U.S. for a number of reasons. Many were personal. Well, from a business side, lower regulation, less paperwork, got to save some money on taxes. Those are all reasons people go where they're treated best. Those are the 5 magic words. Go where you're treated best. And it works for countries, too. It works for businesses. It works for people. If there's a better deal over here, less hassle, less risk, less potential blowback, yeah, we're going to go over here. We'll pay for our jet. We'll lease our jet in the yuan. And not the dollar, not the euro. And when that happens long enough, you're going to see the final gasps of a certain level of power from the high-tax Western legacy brain countries. Xia Lei, chief economist for Asia at BBVA Bank Research, said a strong currency means everyone would like to hold it. It also means it could be used in financing like the US dollar. It's a currency that could be used in multiple venues. In July 2024, the yuan retained its position as the 4th most active currency for global payments by value. You probably wouldn't think that, if you're watching Western media, because they want to tell you, China, they're falling apart. Look at the housing crisis. Look at that. Listen, I'm not here advocating for China, right? China is irrelevant to me. What is relevant to me is you. You live in a high-tax, legacy brand Western country. Many of you do.
Once you enter the office, you'll be unable to include Ethel in the party. Yes.
I have to ask before you go.
Considering how everybody attacks us on
What the? No.
My channel.
That's not
This
really
is
how it
our
works for me.
precious man.
Well, one thing's for sure. We were sworn enemies once. And yet, we all share the will to live in the now. Before becoming Ouroboros, I never realized it. But that common will, it was reason enough to stick together.
I see. Not everyone makes the choice to fight willingly. Lance said that you have to. Well, right now every one of us has to. There's no question it would be better if they didn't. Your journey may have started out of necessity, but now you're pushing forwards towards a common goal. And that might be all we want, and all that we wish the world could be. What we wish it could be.
You're heading out as well.
As soon as we're done here, I'll make for the castle.
What?
You forget, I am the commander. We haven't revolted against our nation, so I have to report in.
Ethel, are you sure?
Oh, don't worry. I'll believe in you out of it.
That's not it. The consul earlier turned Mobius. Were it to...
If you mean that monster, I'm well aware of the risk.
Then why?
Because it's my responsibility to those I command. As for the consul, we can say he died in an accident.
And you can't do it remotely?
Now that the consul and Flame Clock are both lost to us, I have to make a report, and not over comms. I have to requisition more supplies, too.
And what if they fit you with a new cloak?
I can worry about that then.
You'll find me. Really?
Don't get preoccupied with us. Keep to your path. Follow it, wherever it may lead you. Life is short.
I suppose.
Hey, while we're all still here, one more word of warning. The consul was attempting to remove you from the picture. In light of that, you'll likely come up against hostility. But listen, you should keep engagement to a minimum. Kevis or Agnes. That goes for both of them.
But if if we break their clocks, just like with Colony 4 here, they would... well, they would be free, wouldn't they?
You do well to remember not everyone thinks the same as I do. Even within this colony, many still haven't come to accept their new reality. To make things even more fraught, in other colonies, there are those who are more than willing to fight, as you'd expect.
So it's no use.
Titles, and I'm pretty sure you saw the title, so yeah. I sold 100 ounces of silver. Let me explain why. So what I've done is, this box here was full of silver. All I've got left now is poker chips. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with this box. But yeah, I sold my 100 ounces of silver. I still have some silver. Don't worry about it. I'm still gonna buy some silver. All I've got now is this box. I'll explain why we have some gold here in a minute. Even though some of you already guessed it. So, this is the silver that I have. And what I've done is, I've got, in terms of bullion, 1 each. How is that? Well, I've got one of that. I've got one of that. Got one of that. And we can keep going. Got one of that. Got one of that. Yeah? Literally, I left 1 for myself. That's it. That was it. Different Britannias. Yeah. This is just coronation. Anyway, with Charlie Boy, the crown on his head. While this one is a bit different, yeah. This is the coronation.
Oh, hey, I just realised I left something back before, so...
I also have another Britannia, but this is the boss. And I have another Britannia because Charlie has no crown. So, oh, hold on, this is the American US. I'm sure I have another one somewhere. This is like the you know. So anyway, got one of those, 1 each. And in here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right, so I've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 24, 25, 26, 24, 25, 27. That's not right. If I have 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 in there, and I've got 18 ounces here. Yeah, again, 1 each of whatever I had. Everything else I sold. So 13 plus 18 hide. I kept 2 Pescavars. Come on, this is not precious metals. What's wrong with you? Anyway, 30 plus 18, 48. And I'm sure I have 2 ounces somewhere like stuff. I'll show you. Stuff like this. Yeah. Which is 1887, I want to say. Yeah. It's a set of 1887 Jubilee Victoria. And some few bits and stuff. Anyway, yeah. That being said, 40 ounces of silver, that's all I've got. And obviously I'll get a bar here, there. You know, these are empty, just so you know. Yeah. Ready to go in. These are empty. So yeah, I'll get a bar here, there, so I still need to fill up this box. So all of those is quite a lot of silver. But yeah, I had 140 ounces. Well, let's make something clear. I still have my premiums. Starting 2 months ago, I started this process. Selling premium first. I sold about 10 or 12 coins from the range of 75 pounds each to 250. But only my doubles, so I still, I still have the Star Wars and the other bits that you saw on this channel. But whenever I had the double examples, I gave it away. Yeah, I made a big loss there, to be honest, and you don't do that with premiums. So if you don't know, learn from me. After 1 year buying premiums, you will have to keep it a lot more than that, because otherwise you're going to lose pretty much. So, for example, I bought, let me give you an example so you can understand exactly what I mean. Where is it? Let's take this one for example. Right? Peaky Blinders. This is an absolutely amazing coin. Right? There you go. Look at that. That looks...
So much to see, huh?
Cha-ching! Yeah. Okay. So I bought this for 290, I want to say. Because that's when it came out, and I thought, ooh, let me grab one. Limited vintage. I bought 2 of them, and I sold the other one for 250, 240. So I lost on one of those alone, 50 quid. And so on and so on. With Star Wars, with stuff like this. Again, I had 2, I sold 1. I had 2 of these. I sold 1, and so on and so on. Anyway, we're not talking about premiums today. Big loss on premiums, like, I don't know, 30, 50 quid for each coin. You sell 10, you lost 300. Done. But anyway, we're not talking about that. I'm not very upset. I still have my premium coins, 1 each, because I only sold 2 doubles, so it's fine. I made some money on it, and I went into gold, obviously. That was 2 months ago. What I've done this month, though, and specifically in the last 2 weeks, I had this full of silver, 100 ounces, because in this box, you can fill up 8 coins in 1 square. So altogether, 3, 6, 9, 12, this is 96, yeah, 96 ounces of silver, plus here, there, 3, 4 pieces, and Yeah, I sold about, not about 100, I'm pretty sure it's 100. Anyway, I sold it out, and if you do the math, yeah,
I don't like our odds. They must be silver.
100 ounces times 30 quid, I want to say, I've done around 3,000 pounds. And where's my 3,000 pounds? Here. We're talking about roughly money here. I'm not going to do the math exactly. Yeah? I'm not going to do the math exactly. So
Your
this is
caution dulls your insights.
1,000. Another 2.
Your crude fighting wastes almost all your potential.
2,000.
Good judgment,
And
but you're a bad
2,
quitter.
4.
Just as I'd heard, sadly.
I knew it. Colony Iota.
I've heard about them.
I bet you have. Commander Alexandria is famed for her keen wit. How dare you take Dame Alex's name in vain, scum!
We've committed no crimes.
I suppose you can prove that?
Well, proving a negative isn't really possible. But what you think you know isn't the whole truth.
Eat this, sucker! Ah! Dame Alex! Senna! I'm so there!
Sorry to go off book on you folks. Snuff.
That's enough. It will suffice for this little trial. You struggle for your lives in vain. Ouroboros criminals. Those lives will be mine. This I swear.
They're a bunch of morons, just as we'd heard. And rude to boot.
Indeed. But that might make for a fun reception. What you think you know is not the whole truth. Huh. I do hope you'll tell.
Looks like we managed to lose them.
What in Her Majesty's ever-loving cheekbones just happened back there?
Simply put, our foes were well versed in the art of war. Their methods were inelegant, to say the least.
Inelegant, like war's ever pretty.
They're efficient at stockpiling combat rewards. That's how they managed to climb the silver rank already.
I heard they even share their supplies with other colonies. That seems kind of awesome.
Sharing supplies? Why would they do that?
It would prove beneficial in the long term, I think.
Creating debts to strengthen ties with other allied forces does open up your options, insofar as battle tactics are concerned.
And if that leads to better results in combat, you can get your hands on even more goods.
What I'm getting here is that they're trouble.
Yes. And to make matters worse, Alexandria herself announced that they will come for us again.
I bet us traitors would net them a hefty reward, huh?
So how do we turn the tables on them? Punch their lights out?
Listen to yourself, you doofus. We're talking silver here, yeah?
Well, whatever we choose to do, here's something to bear in mind. Colony Iota's commando group is made up of 4 units. Regardless of the proportions we take, we have a high chance of encountering them. We should consider our approach carefully.
Well, in that case, brush off the embers that fall on your coat, right? It may be best if we...
You're suggesting we march right into Colony Iota?
In terms of strategy, making the first move certainly would make it easier to seize the advantage. I think with our current level of experience, we should be able to take them on, but I'll leave the final decision to you.
Anyway, even for a frontal assault, we'll need to prepare properly.
Right. I'm in favor of the attack as well. But we should be sure to target the flame clock specifically and prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
We've made some new friends. We've made some new friends. We have to keep track of our progress.
The PlayStation.
Australia was set to shut down its 3G network in July 2024, but was delayed due to an alarming new realization that millions of 4G and 5G devices can't call emergency numbers without an active 2G or 3G network. Regardless, Australia is pushing ahead with its shutdown of 3G, with new laws coming in place to require telcos to cease providing service to any devices they can't confirm as having full support, including that of emergency calling. What that means is even if you have a 4 or 5G phone, it may be blocked from Australian networks as soon as
Bethesda beginning to feel the heat as regards to the Elder Scrolls 6.
Welcome back, Tribe. I have an episode here from How Money Works called Why 10 Million Men Have Given Up on Work. We've been covering this stuff lately about men.
Alright, we're gonna be doing some cursed experiments today. I don't want...
Fan will build the same
in Austria, more specifically Vienna, famous for the song, of course, and those rubbish little sausages you get in a can. Drone shot.